Welcome to EveOps channel, your go-to space for everything cloud, DevOps, and beyond. Today we're excited to have Ryne Mbuthia with us, guiding you through Linux essentials for DevOps. In this session, Ryne will walk you through essential Linux commands every DevOps engineer must know, understanding file system processes and permissions, hands-on practice with servers and shell scripting, and real-world DevOps use cases to sharpen your skills. Make sure to connect with Ryne Mbuthia through the links in the bio. And while you're there, don't forget to join our community group chat. The link is also in the bio. And of course, follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated on future sessions, workshops, and exclusive DevOps content. Now let's dive right into the session with Ryne Mbuthia.
All right, thanks a lot. So today what we'll basically be doing is I'll be taking you through Linux fundamentals and essential knowledge you need as a DevOps engineer or also as a dev, which you need to so that you can be able to interact with this operating system. And I'll just begin. So these are maybe some things, some of these commands, maybe you've seen them, or maybe you wonder what they do, or maybe you only interact with one or two. But today I'll be doing a deep dive, not really as deep, but a deep dive of the fundamentals that you need as a DevOps engineer. All right, so we can begin. Why Linux for DevOps? Okay, so you might find that still in devs or guys who still use Windows and maybe they are conversant with that, but you see, as a DevOps engineer, you really need to be using DevOps because it's a preferred OS for the engineers. Okay, because one, the infrastructure. Linux powers most servers and cloud platforms. For instance, for the guys who have interacted with the AWS services, and you know something called an EC2 instance, which is a virtual server, it's basically a Linux server. It's basically a Linux platform on cloud. It's literally Linux is it's the backbone of DevOps. Okay. And the good thing about Linux, it's lightweight and efficient. For instance, Ubuntu, it's not as heavy to run it, and it's also enables you to be able to automate tasks so that you can remove the repetition of tasks which maybe you don't want to be running them on a daily basis. So Linux would be giving you that opportunity to do that. And also for security, of course, it has a robust permission system. For instance, I'll be showing you later how to create groups and how I can take privileges and also give privileges to groups. So these are the essentials of Linux, where you find that when you use, I'd also use Windows and Linux because they're the mostly used OSs. You find that some Linux is a bit higher, or it's when you're in the field of technology because of the capabilities it has. And now we'll move to the next slide. And in case you have any question, please make sure to type it on the chat so that James and the others, Fabius and Hilda, will be answering there. All right, so I can just begin. So Linux is a Unix distribution. What do I mean by this? Linux is there are so many what do I mean, distros from Linux. So for instance, in the beginning we had Unix, then we had Mac OS, which also is a Unix based system, and we had Linux. Okay, so and Linux has so many distributions. You might find some guys use Mint, others use Fedora, others use Debian, others use CentOS, so many. But mostly you find most people use Ubuntu because it's very lightweight and it's easy to navigate through it. Okay, as that's what I have on my laptop, and we'll see that I'll be showing you. Let me just split my screen so that I can be showing you guys. Okay, let me hide these. I hope you can see my screen. I'll be showing you guys the GUI and also how to interact with the CLI so that you can be able to get the difference between these two things. Okay. So first, let's start with the file structure of the Linux. So Linux normally has a tree-like structure, okay, as compared to Windows. You know, Windows, it's not the same as Linux, and I'll be showing you guys here. For instance, what you see right now is folders for the currently logged in user. Okay, let me show you here. When you come here and you try to exit, you'll see switch user. Okay, so the user who has logged in into this system right now, this is what they have. So this is the GUI, and I'll show you how to interact with the CLI here at this terminal. All right. So when I press here and I come here to the Ubuntu, now here we have moved from the home directory to the root directory. And what do I mean? At the root directory, this is where most of the things in Linux happen here, especially in Ubuntu. You'll find various folders which are essential for this distribution. Okay, you'll find we have bin, we have lib, we have sbin, we have you have user. Okay, these are very essential and they make a lot of sense when you come to interacting with the CLI. So for instance, when I come to let me come to the bin. Let's start with the home. When I come to home, let me double click it. You'll find we have a user called Jane, we have Jays, we have Mary, and we have Sakara. Let me try to see who Sakara is. I'm taken back to the home. So this is a person who has logged in into this specific system right now, the one that I'm interacting with. Okay, you come to bin. What is bin? Bin contains the basic commands available in your system. For instance, if I scroll down and I see Ansible pull, Ansible doc, Ansible console, these are the commands which you run in the CLI and enable you to interact with these specific applications. Or let me show you another one, which maybe you're familiar with. I go down, you'll find something like CP. This one here means copy. You'll find something like echo, as you're going to be seeing later. So what are these? These are system-based configurations or other commands. These commands, they're in binary form. So they're in zeros and ones. So when I run these commands in the CLI, the system will be able to know that, to be able to interact between the CLI and also the system, because all those files are stored in the bin. That's the good thing about the root directory. You're able to see all these things. And when we come to the SBin, okay, SBin is a very special folder. And what do I mean by this? SBin is a system folder and it's also used by admins or super users. Here, for instance, if you want to add a group, or rather if you want to do commands like, let me go down and see something else. If you see all these commands here, you see they are system-based commands or use admin command. So you need to use either as a root user, because other basic users like say Sakara, they have to use a specific command to be able to run these commands. That's the difference between bin and SBin. Okay. Let me move out and show you another one called lib. Yeah, lib. What is lib really? Lib is a library folder. And what does this mean? It's a folder it has essential libraries. Okay, it's like a basic toolbox. So for instance, when I'm logging it in Sakara, this lib is the one which enables me, or rather it's enabling the system to be run. So because all the libraries are stored here. So that's the good thing about lib. And all these folders that you see here, there are so many, we can't go into detail of all of them, but you can see all of them, they're very essential for the system to be run. But you see all of them are at the top level commands. Okay, and that's the basic folder structure of a Linux system. So this specific one is Ubuntu. So that is the GUI or the GUI, the graphic user interface, where you can be able to visually interact with it. Let me go back to home and show you here. Okay, so working with the CLI can be more. So for instance, when you ask, so this is the CLI. Of course, I know many people because here maybe many people are devs. You of course interact with this terminal frequently. Sorry, this is the application you use when you want to interact with the CLI. And now when working with the CLI, it can be very convenient than using the GUI, because one thing about the terminal is it's quite efficient, because when you run a command, like when you want to create a new file, it's just one line command and I'm good to go. Or rather, when I want to be able to do a deep dive and find logs or other files which are nested in folders, I'll be able to do it easily using one line command instead of having to, for instance, in GUI, I have to come to music, I have to go deep and deep and deep. So, but in the terminal, I just do one line, I'm good to go. Okay, that's a good thing about using CLI, and I'm sure most people do it. So let me come and split the screen again, like that. Okay, now we're good. All right, so when you come in here, you find this is the application for the CLI. One, you find Sakara. Who is Sakara? Sakara is a username who is currently logged in on this system at Sakara. What is the other Sakara meaning? It's the host name. It's the name of the laptop, okay? And then this is just a regular user, okay? So now with that, we are good to start the basic Linux commands that you'll be using essentially, either as a developer or as a DevOps engineer. But here, because we're basically talking about DevOps engineer, but it cuts across, because I think all these commands, most people run them either as a developer, if you're just in tech, most people I'm sure here use a CLI, but we're just doing a overview of the commands that we really need to be running. Okay, so I'm sure maybe most of you know this, but I'm just doing a refresher of what they do for maybe the people who don't know. All right, so as in the beginning, we find commands here. One, we have a command called pwd, and I'm going to type it. What does this mean? Pwd means print working directory. So it shows which directory I'm in right now, and I'm in the Sakara directory. That's where I am, and that's it. So if you want to know, for instance, I'm in this directory and I want to know what files or what folders are in this home directory where it's called Sakara. So I just do a list, and I'm able to see that in this directory, there are so many. There's desktop, DevOps with Nana, you find music, all these things. Okay, with that you're able to see what is entailed in that directory. Okay, and when you come later on, you're able to find and with this list, when you do list has a few commands with it. So when you do list and A, you're able to see the hidden commands. When you do list and L, you're able to see the permissions of various files or folders. Okay, and when you want to say all this is a lot for you and you want to just clear it and you're able to start from the beginning. That's the good thing about interacting with the CLI. But you see, when you're, for instance, you want to be able to see the hidden files of the using GUI, you have to go to the GUI, press at the side, check, that's a lot of back. But you see, with this, you just run one command and you're good to go. And with that, if you have any question, please make sure you ask in the chat box, or rather you can just raise your hand and someone is just going to help me know, because I can't see who is typing or anything. Anyway, moving on, we'll look at file operations and how to interact with files. Or yeah, let's just do some commands here and see what happens when you want to say create a file. We do touch, and what name can we call it? We can call it let me say dev2.txt. You see, with that you've already created a file. And when we want to see if this file has been created or verified, we do a list. And when I check, I have a few files here, but you can see dev2 is here. We have created it. Okay, fast, easy, and efficient. And again, amazing. All right, so when I want to create a folder, I just do make directory. The name of the folder, I can just call it, let me call it my name. Okay, no, it's not good naming convention, but hey, it's for learning. So when you do an ls, you're able to see, let's find if Sakara has been created. It's here, but it's a different color because it's a folder. You find Sakara has been created. And then you figure out, actually, I didn't want to create this. I just want to delete it. What do? You just do rm-r Sakara. And when you ls, you see that Sakara is no longer there. That's the beauty of using these commands in Linux. And that's why, as developers and as DevOps engineers, you really need to know these commands. These are basic commands which you really need to be knowing. But some of them you'll know automatically, like make directory, list, pwd, but some of them you have to Google, because you see, these commands are so many, you can't just master them like at once. You can just type prompt and you just get to know which command you really want to run. But anyway, we can move forward and see what else we can do. So we have created a new file. We have these are files which you can create. You can also delete a file. So let's list, and we have a file like dev.txt. So we do okay. Amazing. So let me just explain what I've done. I hope you guys can see. Okay, amazing. So what I've just done is I wanted to remove this file. And for you to remove this file, because you're just a regular user, you need to use this sudo. Sudo helps you become temporarily, really, it helps you become a super user. So it helps you, it gives you the opportunity of being, say for instance, an admin or the root user. So you're able to execute this specific command. If you just run it, let's try running it and see maybe if it can run. But normally sudo helps you become a super user. Let's list. It has removed, but we'll see instances where if we don't use sudo, honestly speaking, it doesn't work. You have to become a super user, but we can just proceed with that, and we can go ahead and, so we have seen that we can create a file, we can remove a file. We can create a folder and we can remove a folder. Proceeding, we can see a way where we can rename a folder. So for instance, let's say I have a folder where I realize that I haven't named it correctly. So let's list. Okay, I can just create a folder here quickly as we have learned this command. So make directory, I can call it, let me call it chan2. Okay. Okay, let's look for it. It's here. I've created that, and I realized, what did I just do? I really actually need to change it. So I can just come and use the command for renaming. You just say, let me write it down, then explain it. So you say sudo move the name of the folder you want to change, okay? And the new name, say I just want to call it chan, okay? Let's clear and list. We can see that initially it was chan2, but now it is just chan. So that's the good thing about these commands, because you see, instead of me having to go to the GUI, coming here and having to right click, ev, do all this process, you see, it's quite easy to run these commands on the CLI, and it makes you more efficient. And as a DevOps engineer, you're going to be finding all these commands that I'm saying, you'll be using them oftenly, because you find that you need to rename and you have so many files that you need to work with, and you'll be using these commands. So you'll just grasp them. They'll just be at your fingertips. That's time you'll have to Google though. So again, if I'm going any fast, please guys, you can just let me know, or you can just ask any question, because it's you can type on the chat box or anything. All right. So now we have created a folder, we have created a file, we have removed a file, we have moved a file, and now I have a folder which has so many files, or rather has so many content, has a lot of content, and I really don't want to go and start copy pasting and doing all these things. There's a very good command called cp or copy, which you just use to copy these directories. Let me list and see which for instance, I have this folder called documents, okay? And I want to I want to do a copy of it. What do? It's as simple as just running sudo cp, the name of the name of the folder that I want to change. So it's called downloads, and the new name, I can just call it downloads 2. As easy as that. All right, I'll explain this. Amazing. All right, so you see what I've done there. So you see we have C, copy files or directories. CP means when I write CP only, it said you omitted, I omitted that flag. So what that flag means, it means recursively. Recursively means it copies everything in that folder. If the folder has all these things that are in that folder, they'll be copied to the new name, or rather to the new folder that you're going to create. So when I clear, and it's always good to verify if you've done what you've done has worked. So you see, I have downloads and downloads 2, and I don't need to go and copy and paste all these things, because I have this amazing command that I can just run and do a copy. And those are the few very basic commands that you run so that you can be able to manipulate all these files and folders easily without having to waste a lot of time interacting the GUI. And when I move forward, I'm going to now teach about okay, let me list and see what file I have here. We can use a file like test.txt. Test.txt, say let's do something like, there's also a command called cat. What you learn in Linux is everything is a file, or rather everything can be read, you can read, write, or execute. So it just depends on the permissions that you give that specific person who's supposed to run it, and I'm going to show you shortly. So when I do something like cat test, test.txt, and I enter, it has hello world. What does cat mean? Cat means concatenate, which means what it helps you do is you're able to see the contents inside that specific file that you're about to open. So instead of having to go to the GUI and opening it using a text editor and doing all these things, you can just be able to run this specific, simple, easy command that is going to be giving you all the things that are in that folder. And with that, you can be able to know if what is inside, and you can be able to use it to maybe run a few maybe work that you need to do. Okay. So the commands that we have learned are super basic, of course, because I'm sure most of you guys have interacted with all these commands. But some of them maybe they are long. You can just copy it from the browser and paste it on your terminal, and it's going to still work. That's the beauty about using the CLI. And once you get Linux on your system, or rather you get Linux, any Linux distribution on your application, I don't think you're ever going to go back to Windows at all, because it becomes so easy and efficient to use it that going back to Windows feels like a task. But anyway, yeah, so you don't need to memorize each and every command at heart. The rest of the commands, either you'll never, most of them, you find that you're never going to use them, or you use them just once, okay? But you can always Google and be able to get what you really need. And with that, we have just done a few basic commands, and we can move on to system information commands. And what do I mean by system information commands? These commands, they are just a few additional commands that you need to be knowing to be able to know how to troubleshoot or figure out or run some things to be able to get information about your system. And what do I mean? For instance, a command like, let me just type it. This command is quite simple but very efficient. And what do I mean? It displays comprehensive system information, including kernel version, architecture, and host name. Kernel is the heart of the system, or the heart of the OS, okay? So when you look at this output that I've got, I can just help interpret it. We have Linux. What is Linux? Linux is the distribution, or rather it's the OS that you're using. Sakara is the user, or it's the host. We can see that what the generic, or rather the version of you can see the version of the distribution that we have. You can see that we are using Ubuntu also. When you move forward, you can see when it was installed on Friday, July 2025 at 10. And you can also see it's a 64 or a 32 bit. And that's, you see, what this command helps you do is, for instance, something breaks and the support team asks you, which kernel are you using? You see, with this, you're just able to run this command, and you can just paste this information to them, and they'll be able to know how to help you assist with the system problem that you're facing. And these short, efficient commands in Linux really help solve a lot of things. And when I run this other command here, let me run it, then I'm going to explain it. Okay. This command called, first we have said cat it's going to show you what is inside this specific file. Okay, so it lets you know which Linux distribution and which exact version. You can see it's Ubuntu, it's version 24. It has also a lot of details about it. You can see these are live. If you just click here, you can be able to go here and support. This is the support for Ubuntu. You can be able to ask any question, you see. And that's a very efficient command that maybe you're going to use, or maybe you're never going to use, but it's quite good to know that these commands really exist, because most people really just use cd, pwd, but they don't really use these commands as often. But at some point, you really are going to need these commands to help you figure or troubleshoot something, or figure out something about your system, like knowing which OS you're having, if you're not really familiar with this type of distribution, or you're not familiar with Linux really, but at least now we know some commands. So why this matters in DevOps? It helps you verify system compatibility. So say when you're running something like a YAML file, and you really need to know that if am I going to use a 64-bit or a 32-bit? Is that what system am I using? And when you run this when you run this command, you're able to know that it's a 64-bit, and you'll specify that there. It helps you troubleshoot environment issues, like the way I've told you guys. When you asked which kernel are you using, you'll be able to run also this command and know the kernel that you're using. And it also ensures consistent deployments, because when you know the system that you're working with, you'll be able to deploy things easily. But if maybe you're not even sure which command to run or anything, I don't think you'll be able to be an efficient person or an efficient DevOps engineer. But with these commands, it's quite easy to be able to write your deployments nicely, and you're good to go, So, and again, another thing that I haven't talked about in Linux is, or in the terminal, is when you use the up arrow that is next, it's on your left or it's on your right, and you just press it up, you'll be able to see all the commands that you've been running. Or you don't have to type it again. You see, like this command here, this one here, I don't have to type all that. I can just type that in, enter, and I'm good to go. And also I can do something like history, and I can see all the commands that have been running. All these commands have been running them, all of them. You can be able to see the commands that you've run. Okay. So very short commands, but very essential commands to be knowing. Okay. So now when you're moving forward, we'll be able to talk about user management and permissions. And what do I mean here? For instance, the user who is here is called Sakara, okay? But we need to, this system is being used by different people, and we need to have, we say we are a group of 5 DevOps engineers, and we need each and everyone to use this system, but we need them to log in using their specific credentials. And this is where we are going to learn about user management and permissions, because with this, we are going to be able to create a user in a group and give the user a group. And I'm going to be showing you this shortly. We have 3 types of users in Ubuntu, or rather in Linux, but this specific distro or distribution, we have a root user. This root user is who I showed you guys here. Like these are the files, or rather these are what the root user has access to. The root user is a super user. And what do I mean? The root user can do anything, can modify anything. And that's why you should, it's not essential to use the root user. It's only in specific times that you use the root user, because you can just run something and it can crumble down your whole system. That's why we create multiple users, even an admin. You create a root user, then you have a root user, then you create an admin, because you can give them privileges, or rather you can give them permissions instead of running the root user and running the risk of crumbling down your system. We have I'm sorry, this font is not as clear, but I'll just be reading it out loud. You have a regular user. Who is a regular user? A regular user is me, Sakara, okay? And Sakara is who is currently logged in. They have limited permissions, and that is your personal workspace. You see, when you have Sakara there, they don't have to go and mess with the other user. So if we come here to the GUI and we find home, we have Jay and we have Jane. Sakara doesn't have to go and mess up with Jane's work or Jay's work. They can just log in with their credentials and they can do their work there. Say they are a junior and Jay is a senior. We don't need to go and mess up with Jay's work, because we can just log in into our specific, we can just log in as Sakara and do the specific task that we have been given, because we are going to have limited permission. Service user is the third user that we have here. Account specific, app specific accounts. What do I mean? For instance, we have a MySQL running in our system, and Sakara doesn't have permission to be able to log into this database. They don't have that is not their JD, or their work, their job description does not involve them being a database person, or rather engineer. What do? We have specific users who are given permission. Say we have Jay. Jay is the admin, and they have the specific login details for these accounts. And it's best practice, because you see, we don't need everyone else logging into your server, because risk of it crumbling down is easy, because we have malicious people also. So, and we'll move forward. Let me just extend this and see. Okay, so user group and management commands. Okay, let me do something real quick. Okay. User and group management. Okay, so these are the commands which we are going to be running here, and we have one command to view users. So I'm the admin, and I need to know which users do I have in my system. I'm going to copy this command and run it. Let me do this. All right. So with this, we are able to see the users that we have in this system. So it looks a bit not human friendly, but it's quite easy to explain. Now, you see that we have others which you don't even know what they are, because we have something like GeoClue, X. All these are system users. Okay, so they are users which are being created by the system. So most of them, we didn't even create them. They came with the system. They came with the Ubuntu system, the Ubuntu OS that we have. But when you come down here, you find Sakara here. You find Jane, you find Jays, you find Tom, and you find Mary. Now, I'm going to explain what this means. Let me just copy it. Okay. Okay, let me just copy it down here. But it can't be run as a command because I just want to explain really quick what it does. Nice. You find we have this. This is a user. This is Sakara. What does this line mean? Sakara is the name of the user. X is the placeholder of the password. Of course, there's a folder which has the passwords, but it's only the root user who can access them. So we don't need someone coming and running this command using sudo and seeing the passwords of the other people and doing malicious things, okay? We have 1,000. It's the unique user ID. And we have 1,000. We have this. The first one is the unique user ID. The second one is the primary group ID. So what do I mean? When I create a user, say called John, John is going to be given a default group called John. That's why you see that the primary group of Sakara is Sakara, okay? And then when you go to the GUI and you go to home in Sakara, you'll find me, as I showed you guys here. And bin bash, what is bin bash? It's the user's default login shell. What does this mean? When Sakara logs in, the system automatically starts bash. It starts because of this. It's automatically, you don't need to do anything to it, but because of this specific user created, the system automatically starts and Sakara is able to do what they are required to do here, or rather the task that they've been given, if they're a junior, they are a senior, or anything. Okay. Now, we can see a few commands here where we are just going to learn what they are, or rather what they do. You find a command like sudo add user username. What does it mean? When I want to create a new user, I run sudo add user. Say I'll call her. What can I call them? Lois. Yeah. Okay. Let's create a password for Lois, because I know when I start creating them, I'm going to be sumbuad. So let me just guess a password for Lois, so that it can be best practice. Lois. Okay, enter. Bad password. I don't need in Ubuntu, or rather in these distros, when you put the name of the user, they don't accept it. So you really need to have a good password, or else they're just going to nag you here. So it doesn't match. Let's create again. My God. Let me just guess a good password here. Okay, let's use this one as the password of Lois. Okay, let's give it a last chance. Okay, this is going to work. Okay, we try again. I knew I was going to face this. It's fine. We can just always try till it works. All right, so now you have given Lois a password. Okay. So it's asking you enter the value or press enter for default. We say she's called Lois Njeri. Room. Work phone, can just guess. Home phone. Other. Yes. What does it say? We have added a user called Lois. Okay. Let me clear these. So now we have Sakara, and so Sakara has used sudo to be able to get super user privileges, to be able to create new users. Let me come back to my notes here. So when we want to be able to view these users that you have created, or rather we want to know where are our users going, we can just do ls and home, and we find that Lois is here. What do I mean ls? We are listing everything that is in home, and when I come to the GUI again, you find that Lois has been added and Lois has a password. As easy as that. and now you have a new user. You see, I don't have to log out, log in again, do all those things because the CLI is giving me this amazing command that I should run. Sorry, and get these and get new users created in a second, or it doesn't even take long. And I realized that that password that I gave Lois, she doesn't even know what to do. Like, it's so long and she doesn't like it. I come and I change it here and I say Lois. Okay, sorry. I typed the word password wrong. Amazing. So we're just going to use this password. Where was it? I think that's the one. Let's just remove these and give them the same password, because now we have decided we want to change the password for Lois. You see how easy it is. Enter. Enter. You see, password updated successfully. As easy as that, and you're good to go. And Lois now has a new password. All right. Okay. So when we want to create a new group, so as I told you earlier, remember, I said when you use this, let's go back and find this command so that I can explain this very, very nicely. We came here and we find that Lois has been given a group called Lois. So, and you also find that, say, Sakara is in group Sakara, okay? And when you come here, you find that Lois, this is her ID, her personal ID, this is the group ID, this is the ID. This is the ID, sorry. This one here. Let's clear. Okay, so now we have decided we want to switch from Sakara and we want to log in as Lois. Okay, a command that you run is Lois. You run su Lois. Sorry. Yeah, the password for Lois. What have I done? I, Sakara, want to log in as Lois, and I want to do something, or I want to know the groups that Lois is in. Lois is in group users. Okay. Now, this is logged into this system, but you want to log in as Lois and see what Lois, you do some work permissions that Lois has been given. So when I want to go back to Sakara, I just run write the name of my user now, and I run. Let me just write my password. Oh, nice. Now I'm back to Sakara. You're out of Lois. That's how you change from different users and you go to the other user. If you know the password, that is, because if you don't know the password, then you can't move into that other user. Okay. Nice. Now we can move forward and see how in the CLI we can be able to create groups. Now, why do we need to create groups? Say, I said we are a group of 5 DevOps engineers. And now we don't need to give every user permission. Okay. We just need to give this group permission. So I need to create a group and then add people inside that group, because the task of giving everyone permission, honestly, it's a lot of work. So we need to just do it in the most efficient and easy way. So I'm going to be running a few commands here, and you're going to be seeing how that really works. Okay. So a command to add a group. I run. Let me just put this aside. Sudo. Sorry, I don't know why I'm typing so. Group add devs. Devs already exist. So sudo group add DevOps. Hey, Ryne. Sudo group. Let me type slowly. Okay, I think I have created so many groups. Group add new DevOps. Nice. Now you see, what have we done there? We have created a new group called DevOps. And now we need to know where are these groups at, or where can we find these groups at? Where have they really been added at? And the command that we can run to do that is as easy as this. Let me just look for it here. I had it here, or I can just run it. I don't need to look for it. Okay, amazing. I added the S. So when I run this command, cat etc group, what does it mean? I want to know which groups I have in this system. And you can find that there's a new group called New DevOps X108 has been added. And this is the new group that I want to put people inside, or rather I want to put my devs inside so that I can give them permission. Water wholesale instead of having to give 111. I had a user called, what was that user? Let me check what that user was called because I need to remember. Okay. Sorry. Okay. We had Lois. Lois default group is Lois. But now I want to add Lois to a group called New DevOps, the group that we have just created. The command that I run is sudo user modify -a all group. Then I want to add her to new. What was it called? Was it called New DevOps? Let's see if it's going to work. Okay. So what I've done is I've added Lois to New DevOps. And you see with that now, Lois has two groups now because Lois has the default group and Lois is already in the New DevOps group. So what I can just do is I can delete the default group that Lois was given during creation of this user Lois. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so delete group Lois. Okay, cannot remove primary group of user Lois. So the primary group of user Lois. So now this is another thing that I usually confuse with. Lois primary group is Lois. So removing it, I have to first assign her to a new group. So it seems that this didn't work. So let's just confirm if that worked. Let's see the groups that we have. It was called New DevOps. Okay. And Lois is in it, of course. Let's see what command that I need to run. All right. So let's see groups. Let's see the groups that Lois is in. Groups Lois. Lois is in New DevOps. So that's amazing. Okay. So if I want to remove, so it seems that in Linux, sometimes it's not as easy to remove. You can't remove the primary group without assigning them to a new group. So we can just run this command again and see if we are the ones who are wrong, or it's me who doesn't remember. Okay, I don't know why it's giving me this error. Cannot remove the primary group of user Lois. Okay. All right. Let me show you guys. Just seen it. Okay. So now, okay, amazing. I've seen what I was doing. Let me clear and just explain it again. We have a user called Lois. Okay, let's look at her. Okay, we have Lois. Lois is in which groups? And if you want to know the groups that Lois is in, we just run groups Lois. And you see that Lois is in groups users. Okay. Now we want to add Lois to group New DevOps that we had created. And what group is this? Let's see. Akwama tulimtoa. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why I keep on typing groups, man. Amazing. You see, in New DevOps, Lois is not there. Okay. Let's clear. Now, what do you want to do? I want to add Lois to this group, New DevOps, because I want to add so many engineers, or I can just add 2 engineers in this group. So what I do is I run sudo to be able to get super user privileges mod -a g new DevOps Lois. And when I run this, Lois, we have added Lois in this new group. Let's clear. Let's create a new user. Carol. Okay, let's create a password for Carol. This we've just done, so I'll just do it real quick. All right, so let me add Carol to this group also. Okay, sudo user mod dash ag. What was it called? Ryne. Nice. So let's see the people who are in this group. All right, you see we have added Carol and Lois in user in the group called new DevOps. So you see now we have added these people to the specific groups. When we move forward, we're going to be able to understand file permissions. So we have finished with adding a user, adding a user to a group, and also adding many users to one group so that we can be able to give them permissions. And why is this essential in DevOps? Again, I said that instead of us having to give a specific user permission, we can just put them all in a group and give them, say, right permission. And that's what brings us to the next part of this webinar today, or rather this learning today. What you're going to be learning next is the understanding file permissions. Let me run a command here. Okay. For instance, when I run, remember we learned about ls. Now, we're going to learn about a command called ls, list and l. What does this command show us? A lot of things which doesn't look like they make sense, but they're going to make sense shortly. Now, when we look at a command like, let me open a document so that I can show you guys what I'm really, talking about. Wow. Let's talk about a file like this one, a folder like this one. Let me just copy it so that I can explain it shortly. Nice. We have this command that we have seen after we have run ls-l. ls-l shows us the permissions that the user have, or permissions that people have, or logged in people have on these specific folders or files. So you can come and find Sakara in group Sakara, root and group root. Okay, this is the username, this is the group. Now, when we come to this, what we find is a very interesting output. You find there's a D at the beginning. Even let's not even dwell on that as much. Let's come to the next part. You find RWX. What does that mean? RWX means read, write, and execute. So write for R, read for R, write for W, execute for X. When I separate these, and I separate these, this specific one is for the user, or rather it's for the user of this, it's for the owner of this file or folder. I come to the next one, the next part. Let's come here. What are we copied? Music. This is for, so when you come to the next one, this -R. Let me show you guys shortly. I want to show you the breakdown of how this thing works. It's quite easy, but quite essential. Now, this is the next part. This belongs to the group. So the group can write, okay? And these are the part shows execute and read. So you see, these are the permissions who are given to these people. So when you come down here, you find this is for the, now let me just show you with this. D is for the directory, RWX is for Sakara. R dash X dash shows it's 0, then they don't have any permission there. XR, it's for the group, and dash X is for the others. What do I mean by others? Others is like Lois. Lois is others in this perspective, because it means that Lois is not logged in as Sakara. Okay, so Lois is others. When Lois tries to access this specific folder or file, they will not be able to write. They can only execute. Sometimes you find they are not even given any permission. When you something like RW-R dash dash means that the others, they're not given permission. So the first part belongs to the owner, the second part belongs to the group, the third part belongs to the others. This comes into play in DevOps because you find that I have a specific file, and I want to give the DevOps people read functionality only. I don't want them to execute it. I don't want them to execute it. I don't want them to write on it. I just want them to read it only. Okay. So that is the simple yet clear explanation of this thing that looks like a jargon, or it looks like it's not clear to understand, but that's the explanation of that. So now, when we move forward, we are going to be seeing these methods that we can be able to use when we want to work with these file permissions, or rather, what really it means to run these commands. So when you come down here, you find there's, sorry, I don't know how to fix that. Let me just go real quick. We are back. Okay. Nice. So here we find the concept that we said that everything in Linux is a file, and permissions are, it's really good to give the right people permissions, and they're also related to the file. So now when you come here, say we want to create a file. Let's create a file. Hey, my God, what have I done? Nice. Sorry. Okay. We have created a file. Let's list dev.txt. Here it is. Sorry. Here it is. When you do ls-l, where is it? Let's find it. You find permissions are read write for the owner, read write for group, read for the others. But now we want to change ownership, but we want to give Lois. Remember our user Lois here. We want to give her that thing so that she can control it, because she has been given that specific duty to run her department. Let's clear. The command that we run is sudo change ownership. I'm sure you've ever seen something like this thing and you wonder, what does it mean? It means change ownership. Make Lois the new owner, and then the group that Lois is in. What was it called? New DevOps. Okay, that's the group that Lois is in, and the file was called dev.txt. I hope I've written the correct thing. Amazing. Let's list it. Okay, sorry. Let's ls-l. Nice. Here it is. Initially, Sakara and Group Sakara were the owners of this file. But now, we have told Lois, because you're the head of this department and you're the head DevOps engineer, we are giving you permission to run this specific file. So it might be hundreds and hundreds of files or folders. So it's your work to manage this. So you see, Lois has permission to read and write. Lois has permission for the new DevOps group. They have permission of read and write, but the others, they can only read. That's the beauty of these commands. Let's clear. So, and now I've decided, you know what? I want the ownership to go back to Ryne. I don't want the DevOps team to have that permission to read and write. The command that I can run is sudo change ownership. Sorry. And I can only change the group. Who is the new owner? I'm giving it back to Sakara. Sorry. And it's called dev.txt. And when I ls-l, you find that For the dev dot, you find that Mary the user amenyang'anywa, we have taken her role, or rather we have taken her permissions and we are giving it back to Sakara. But you see, Bado, new DevOps, they have the opportunity of reading and writing, but still I said, no, I don't want that to happen. I can also change group. So it's called, the command is sudo chgrp, and remember, the group is called, the group that I want to give, it's called Sakara, because Sakara is the one who was the owner in the beginning. ls-l. Nice. When you come here, we find that you are back to the default settings. We have given Ryne, or rather Sakara, the ownership of that specific file. You see, that's how you're able to give permissions and also take them away from someone. Okay. So what's the point of all this really? Where are these permissions defined really? So the first section, that's what I showed you guys. It's this. The D is the directory indicator. This is the owner permissions, read, write, and execute. The group permission and the others permission. And I've told you guys the others are the people like Lois who are not logged in as Sakara. Group is the group that Sakara is in. And owner is, of course, is Sakara. Okay. Now, modifying permissions. Let's modify these permissions, okay? Now, let me do this. Let me list so that we can do it systematically. Now, we are going to still use this dev.txt, okay? And when I run sudo user, who is Ryne, okay? Let's do something like user is you. Let me do it. Change mode. Of course, I forgot that. User is Ryne. Let me remove from this dev.txt, let me remove Ryne's ability to write from this specific file, and the file is .txt. Please remember, you've seen here that Ryne has the read and write capabilities, but now I say that, no, actually, I only want her to read, and I run it, ls-l. You find that, when you come back here, you find that now Ryne can only read. She cannot write on that. And I can say, oh, actually, let me give it back to her. Let me give back her permission. And I say, Ryne, who is the user, plus write. And I also, like that, and then I add dev.txt. And when I do ls-l, you find that, wow, now we have been able to give her back her rightful permissions. And this is how you're able to give permissions to these specific people who you're working with. So if I give you permission to write, it's because I've given you this task as a DevOps engineer. But now I decide that, and you no longer are doing that task, so I'm going to take it back. It's only a line, a command you as the admin you run, who is running this system, or rather your whole system, and I'm able to take away that command, take away that specific permission that I had given you. And there's this amazing thing that I'm sure most people you've been using, but I'll just mention it because maybe sometimes you see this command and you just run it because you don't even know what it does. So there's a numeric, let me look for it so that I can show you guys. It's called numeric, absolute numeric, sorry. Absolute numeric mode in Linux. So it's already here. Okay, let me use this specific picture. I don't know why it's taking long. Okay, interesting. Okay, let's see it. Let's see it so that we can be able to. I hope you guys can see it, because I said it's okay. Let me just extend this and show you guys in full. So what does this absolute numeric table mean? It shows that I not only have to remember all that G plus I don't know what plus W. No. When I know that, when I run command 0, it means no permission. When I run command 1, it means execute 2, 3, like that. Say, for instance, when you come and find this last command here, I don't know why it's doing this anyway. I hope you guys can see. Oh, it's good. Very interesting. Wow. Let me just extend it. Let's do this one. Anyway, let me refresh. Just give me a minute. Let me just open it in full because I don't know what it's doing. So with here, you find that obsolete numeric mode. By adding these numbers, you set a house rule for accessing your files. For instance, change mode 400 file name means only you can look at this file, no touching or using it otherwise. Let's go and run a command to see what this really means. When I run a command, for instance, let's run a command. Let's list -l for the one that we're using, dev test. You see, dev test, it's only read, write, and read for the others. But I decided, let me just give everyone the permission to read, write, and execute. I run change mode 777 dev.txt. And when I list, you find that, wow, now everyone has been given permission. Because when you come up here, remember, before we give them permission, it was only read, write. But now we have given them permission, and now what happens? Everyone can execute this. And now that is a file, which means that everyone has been given permission to run it. And because this is already full, we just clear and we go back to our empty terminal. Okay, and with that, we are done with our basic commands and file manipulations. It's as easy as that. But remember, all these commands, you can always Google them. You don't even have to remember them. You see, like this one, I've just come and Googled it. I didn't even know what for was doing. I can just come and Google it. I'll be able to know what this command really does. And now we are here. We are coming at the network essentials. What are these for? You see, this one, network essentials. Let me just jump down to the last part. These are the things these commands. You see, there are many, but I chose these three because you're going to specifically use these three to be able to troubleshoot your system. Okay. And now we have a command. These are network commands. You also run them in the CLI. See, the good thing about the CLI is you don't even have to go and install an application and do all these things. You have your terminal and you're good to go. You're able to know if is my server listening to any connections? What is the route that my packets are taking? Can I ping? Okay, let's ping. Actually, let's do a ping, and I'll explain what a ping is. Let's ping google.com. Let's let it ping. Okay, I can stop it. Control C. Amazing. Now, what have I done there? I've pinged google.com. Say you have your application, or you have your application you guys have posted, or rather you want to ping your server. You see, the good thing about pinging is you can ping the domain name or rather the IP address. Okay, so I've just used Google because it's usually the easiest to understand on what ping really does. So ping, it enables you to test reachability of the host, measure response time, and uses Internet Control Message Protocol to do this ICMP. Where is it? I don't know. It's here. Now, I'll explain what this thing has done. This ping has been able to follow through and know if our domain name is active, or our domain, sorry, is active. So what has it returned to us? It has returned, the statistics are 11 packets transmitted. These are network commands, and we were talking about ping. Ping is a command for troubleshooting, and what this has done is when we have pinged to google.com, we have been able to know the packets which have been transmitted, and we can see that we have received 11 packets. We have received 11 packets have been transmitted and 11 has been received. 0 packet lost. What does this mean? That the connectivity is in check, that we are not losing any packets. Okay. and also the time. And I'm going to explain this in detail because this is used to check for connectivity. If you do a ping to your domain or your IP address and it fails, it shows that maybe the host is down or the firewall is down, and that is going to enable you to troubleshoot what you're working with, because you're going to be able to know that it's actually not going to be showing you any packets transmitted. It's going to be showing nothing, or rather it's not going to give you these detailed output that you have gotten here. And when you come and see the network latency, or rather when you see the how far or how slow is the target. For instance, Google is, people, almost everyone is Googling right now. Most people are usually Googling, okay? And when you find that in across continent traffic, in traffic, say for a few continents, say from here to Asia or from here to Europe, it's between 240 to 280 milliseconds. And how long has mine taken? It's here. It has taken, is this 10,000? Yeah, this is how long it has taken. So it shows you that actually this domain, it's quite congested or it's so busy. So that's when you know how to troubleshoot it, because of course everyone is using Google. Okay, that's the good thing about ping, and it's as easy as that. Nothing much, just helps you for troubleshooting. Okay, and when we move forward, we are going to use another one called traceroute. Okay, let me just run it so that we can be able to see. Amazing. Let it just finish running, and I'm going to be able to explain it. Amazing. It has finished. Those are so many hops. So I've been able to trace it to google.com. So this is like a Google map for your network. What do I mean? It shows the route which I've written it here. Maps network path to destination. Shows each route hop. Identifies routing problems in network. It's a network troubleshooting tool. What do I mean? It tracks the route packets have taken across the network. So you find that, for instance, let's look for, see, I'm using Airtel, okay? So you find that it has gone 1, 2, 3, 4, it has hopped 9, this is not even listening, 10, it has not passed here, it has not passed by 9, 10, then you might find that sometimes it gets stuck at 11. And this is where the problem is coming from. But you see, it has finished. So it has been able to go and reach the destination, and it has finished at here at the end. But if it could have just stopped at 16, you could have known that is where the problem is coming from, and then you're able to troubleshoot. Okay, so what does this show, this output? It shows all the steps your data takes to reach the destination. So my data, or rather my packets have hopped, have passed through all these in the span that we're just talking here. They have just passed through all these. You see how amazing networking is, in this span, it has been able to do all these hops, has not done all this, but it has finished at 28 and it has gone to the destination and come back. Okay, so when you find a user saying, oh, my app is actually not loading, the problem is the packets are stuck at a certain hop. So they are stuck at 11 and it's not moving forward from that. So from that, you can able to troubleshoot your system. Okay, so you see it has gone, for instance, when I come here at the Airtel one, because it's the one which it's easy to explain, it has gone from my machine, it has gone up to the ISP router, it has gone to the backbone providers, and it has gone to Google Data Center. And that's how easy you're able to troubleshoot your networking problems. Okay, now we'll find the last one here of the 3 that I chose to talk about today, SS. You remember there was a command, okay, for the people who are learning or were able to run these commands like SS, traceroute, ping, all this, NAT. There was one called netstart. Netstart, now it's actually depreciated. And what replaced netstart is called SS. Sorry, SS means socket statistics. And what is this in short form? It's a modern replacement for netstart, but it does what netstart does. But you see, the good thing about this SS, it helps you run major, or rather, it does a better job than what netstart was doing. But it's also, remember, it's for listening. Okay, so to check if a web server is listening or it's receiving any client connections, so you have your web server on cloud, okay, and you need to know, is it actually receiving connections or imekaa tu hata it's not receiving anything? This is the command to run. Let me run this command. This is a combination of all of them, but you see there are so many commands you can run using SS. So you see mine, I'm not waiting for anything. These are just system based, or rather the ones for Chrome, Brave, ISO. Like I don't have any web server that I'm waiting to listen to. Okay, that's why I've just run this a simple command to be able to explain to you guys about what SS does. It shows you all listening ports. Okay, it shows the type of connection. It shows it's, you see here UDP. This is a TCP connection. And con, what does that mean? It's not connected. Okay, when you come down here, TCP is listening. Okay, so it shows the port numbers. Of course, after it's shown here the port number, and it also shows those are basically the few pointers that you can see from here. And this is actually you're going to be using this oftenly, especially when you want to know if your web server or something which you've hosted somewhere or rather in cloud is listening to ports, you can also know that there's a port which you don't want open or exposed, so you can close it by just running this command. And it's as easy as ss-tulnp. And what does T mean? T means TCP connections, U means UDP connection, L means listening, of course, N means number, show the numbers, and P means show program name. And it's as all these commands you just need to run and know what's happening. And you see the beauty about the technology you have today. If you're just looking at this thing and you're like, I actually don't understand what it means, you can just type it on Google here, or you can just go and ask an AI engine and tell it to explain to you, and you'll just be able to know what it does. Okay, because instead of fighting it, you can just ask it to be able to explain to you what this is happening. Say if you're just learning what it does. Okay, so we are going to be seeing here that the use cases in DevOps are users report app when app is not loading, like the way we said in traceroute. You use traceroute to check if packets are stuck at a specific hop. When we say that it is stuck at hop 11, I'll go back and show you guys. When it was running, say it got stuck at 4. You see, we are going to be doing that. Let's help you identify all these bottlenecks or problems that you face in your networking problems. But you see, all these things, again, you can always Google and know which command to run. The only thing you need to know is what am I doing? Because you just can't come and run traceroute and you don't even know what you're doing. You see, but when you have the meaning or you have the back idea of what is command does, you'll be able to ace these commands as easy. Because you see, it's just Googling what problem you're facing and you'll be able to tackle it. Okay. I'm moving forward. I'm not so far from finishing, so please just bear with me. I'll move as fast because I know time is also moving. System monitoring tools. So we have, these are the basic ones, the basic commands that you need to be running. Let me run this first one, top. What does this command do? Top shows the real-time processes running on your system. And you can see top shows you all the system and it updates, or every few seconds it updates. So it shows you the CPU usage, memory usage. It helps you monitor a process that is running and it's taking too much memory space. So you see, okay, so you see CPU and memory usage, I said it here, and running process. So you see, when you just chill or you just wait, you see it's going to update, it's updating. And you see this is not as fun to look at, okay? Let's close this, clear. Let me just put it here so that we can do the comparison. You remember the other one was not good to look at. It was not friendly, or it didn't have visuals, okay? So we have top. It's similar to top, but this is like a supreme version of top because you see the visuals. You're able to see, for instance, the CPU usage that is being used, the memory used, the time used. Like it's giving you a very nice visual of what's happening to your system, and it's giving you this nice color. Okay, so you don't need to struggle to know what's happening. And you see there are a few commands like F1 for help, F2 for setup, F3 for search, filter, tree, sort by. You see, amazing. So you use htop to be able to do what top does, for instance, for CPU usage, memory usage, and running processes. And that's the good thing about it, because with this, you're able to know which resources are consuming my CPU. Because before I do a deployment, I need to know if my CPU is going to be able to handle what I'm doing. Because if your CPU is being overly used by a certain application, you see now it's going to be showing a lot of errors, but you really could have just run a command like htop and know what processes are at the top and are consuming all my memory. Okay, as simple as that. We move forward. Let me close. Let me kill that. Clear. Amazing. So we move forward to that. Those are process monitors. Those are how you monitor the processes happening in the system. So those are if my system, the way we are, you just run htop, I know what's happening. I know if it's Chrome, which is taking up my space. I know if it's, Brave, all that. I know if it's this specific service, this and that. It's as easy as that. Simple but quite effective. Disk usage, okay? This is another one which I'd like you guys, these ones it's good to know them because this one is going to even help you as a developer to know what is taking up your space, okay? And I'm going to run one command here called df disk free -h. What is this here? I've run a command called disk free -h. This command, what it does is it's going to show me my disk usage, okay? It's going to be able to show me how much space is used and what is free. It also prints it in human readable manner. You can see it. For instance, my disk is called dev stroke this name here. And you can see the size of my disk is 468 GB. I've only used 41 GB and the available one is 44. So you see, if I want to run a deployment as a DevOps engineer, I have enough space to run this deployment because I won't be getting disk error because I have enough space. But what do I do? How do I know that I have enough space? You just run df-h to be able to get this nice output, which we're seeing here. Now, I'll show you another very good efficient command, du-sh. Remember, all this you don't have to cram. These ones you can just Google and you'll be able to know when you're using Ubuntu. Now, let it finish. Amazing. So this command, this one is for space, but this specific du-sh and that asterisk, this helps you know Ryne or Sakara, who is the user right now, I have these two files which I've put here. And when you come to a folder like my project, you'll find that this project that I have in my system are taking up 3.7 GB. Okay, so it means that is a very heavy folder. And you see the others are not as heavy. You see there's this one, the Ubuntu, of course. Sorry guys, I don't know what's happening. 4.1 GB is the system itself, the one that I downloaded. So that's how you're able to know, actually, what is this chunk? Let me just go and delete it, okay? So you're able to know what is taking up much of your space. Let me clear. And those are the very nice, essential commands that you can run for processing and also for disk usage. At the bottom here, it says these commands help prevent outages by monitoring resource usage before system fails, okay? So before you get a disk full error, you use df-h to be able to know, do I have enough space? Then you're able to see what space you really have. Okay, this is just by the way, but it's quite essential. We're going to be talking about grep. And I mean, let me go back and show you what you're talking about. You're talking about search tools, finding files, log, and troubleshooting issues, okay? This is quite easy, or it's quite essential. We find a command like grep. Grep actually means global regular expression print. Grep, what it does is it searches inside file context, finds specific patterns and essential for analysis log. So let me do this command. Let me just run this command. And I'm going to explain it. And so what I've done, it's actually not human friendly. It's not user friendly. It's not pleasing to look at, but what does it help you with? Grep has helped you. It has gone to this log, it has gone to the system log. So you remember here, let me show you so that we can be able to understand all these things. Okay, so what have we run? Let me go back. We have run. We are inside here. In the log, I don't know where the logs are. I can't find them. Let me look here. Fine. We have come here. Then we have found, ukundani, we want to know what errors have ever happened to the system. Because what have we done specifically? You have said grep error, quote unquote. So we have told this command has told that has what it has specifically done is go to this file, to this specific folder, to this file, and look for any errors that have ever happened. And what have we had? Because this is a system folder. These are var here. It's in the root directory. It's a top level directory. So you find that these are all the errors that have ever happened when my system has ever been faced by any problem or any error. Because you see, everywhere you go find error. You find Brave, give me an error. I was trying to do something, I got an error. That's a good thing about it. With this, you're able to do troubleshooting because you see the way Linux is not like Windows, because Windows you're able to go to program files and you know what problem maybe you're facing. But you see in Linux, you come here, you find a lot of files and you really don't even know what they are, because you can't just sit down and start knowing what all these are, because some are even created by the system automatically without even know that they've been created. But if you just run these nice commands like this one using grep, unajua tu error ilitokea wapi, okay? And that's the amazing thing about these commands. And we go to the next one, file search, and you're going to use find. Find searches for logs you don't know where they are. This is another one. Let's run this. I'm just going to copy it because you see sometimes you can just to type these commands and you miss a space and it won't run. So you can just copy it. There's no problem in copying it. And you've been able to get this. What does this mean? It goes to find it. So this specific find command helps you search for logs, or rather search for logs for crashing service. So there's a service which is crashing and you need to know where the logs are, because again, when you install Ubuntu or when you have a Linux distribution, it splits itself into different places. So it's not like in Windows when you have local disk C. This one is split differently. So sometimes you don't even know where these logs are. But see, a command like this, find var log, the name, and then the log, you're able to know where these logs are and you're able to go and find, let me pick, say this cloud-init log, you're able to know, it's here, let me go and find what problem is happening, okay? And you see the permission is even denied because that is for a super user, okay? You as a regular user can't run it. And that's the beauty about these very short but very effective commands for Linux, okay? Because remember, when you're using the GUI, you have to navigate through all these directories. So imagine, let me show you something interesting, okay? Now imagine I am going to the GUI and I have to go to the var folder. I go to log folder, say I go to the system folder, and I go deeper also. It's so nested that it's so tiring. But remember, when I just run this, I'm able to get my results easy. Bora you know what you're doing and you're good to go. And you know, as a DevOps engineer, you're going to be using these commands quite often. You know, and it's very good to be able to know what these specific commands do. Let's use locate, okay? What does locate do? And I'm going to explain shortly. Locate is what locate does is also helps you. Instead of now, I have installed so many things on my system and I don't even know where some are, okay? But I know there's a time I used Nginx, but I don't know where Nginx I used it at because I've been doing all this work, but I don't remember what I did it for. Now, you see, I've run a very short 1, 2, 3 words, but I've been able to know that Nginx, I used it in home, Sakara, my project. I was doing a front-end project, and that's where I had an nginx.config text. And now we are good. Now I don't even have to struggle to know where they are. I've already found it, okay? And you see, these 3 commands, they look like they look a bit complicated because of how the syntax looks like, but it's easy because you know grep is going to help you search for file contexts, or rather it's going to help you search. If you have a specific name like error, you'll find it when you run it. When you want to do a file search, maybe in the logs, you'll find it. When you do a quick locate, you'll find it. It's as easy as that, okay? And the good thing about it is it's going to help you. For instance, when system is crashing, you can just find which system is crashing and you can know what error happened, you know? And those are the 3 commands that you use as a DevOps engineer. But of course, there are so many that you're going to use to be able to find these error logs, to be able to find these logs, to be able to find this configuration you're using. But these are the basic ones which I saw, which are very essential that I thought that maybe I should let you guys know about them, okay? And now we're moving to the last part of this, and yeah. It's about shell scripting. What is shell scripting? Okay. A shell script is a text file containing Linux command that can be executed automatically. You see the way from the beginning, we've been running commands, but now with shell scripting, you can be able to automate these commands. I'm going to read this small paragraph here. Why DevOps team use scripts? To automate repetitive tasks, to reduce human error, to save time and resources, to ensure consistency, and to enable 24/7 monitoring. Okay? And I'm going to show you a script that I wrote when I was preparing for this. So common DevOps use cases for backups. So I know that I need to be doing backups on a Sunday at 2 p.m. But honestly, on Sundays, say I go to church at 2 p.m. and I don't even want to be the one on my laptop doing it. I just write a script and I create a cron job. And now with that, I'm at church and the laptop and the system is already doing it for me. And that's the beauty of shell scripting. And you find that shell scripting reduces, it makes work so easier instead of having to run these commands over and over again. Even for deployments, you just write a script and you know that when you're working on this specific task, this specific deployment, when you just click a button like this, deployment, the CI/CD or rather the pipeline is done by this specific script. You don't even need, say it's a config.yaml, ukifinya tu pap, and now everything has been deployed. Because of course you have written this shell script. You don't even have to be writing, going step by step, or rather having to do all this repetitive tasks, because already you have the script you have written, and you know when I run this script, everything is going to work well. Okay, let's move forward and be able to see. So I'm going to do a practice example. So these are very simple script that I wrote to be able to show us the disk space monitor, and I'm going to run it. So I'm going to, of course, again, I didn't mention it, but I'm going to mention it right now. When you have CLI or when you're using Ubuntu, there's usually a built-in text editor. There's VI it's called VI, but you install Vim, and I'm going to be using Vim because that's where I put my script. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Amazing. What have I done? I've just run Vim, the name of the text editor, and the name of my file, of my file. And you see this script here. Don't even worry about what it does or what it says, but how it looks like it's complicated. But what the script is doing majorly, it's checking for disk space and telling me that it's going to warn me if the disk space maybe it has gone above 80%. It's going to let me know that, of course, this is going to send me alerts, or logs are going to be showing that disk is full. Okay, so instead of me having to go and doing df-h and I can just write a script to be able to know that when my disk gets full, I'm going to be able to get this I'm going to be able to get this alert that disk is full. I need to work on that. Let me also get out of Vim. You escape. Then let me just get out, because we're not talking about text editors. So now, remember, for me to run this specific script, I need to, of course, change the mode. Let me run as a super user. Remember, we talked about this, okay? Which allow for you able to add execute, of course, then disk dash check sh. Let me explain this, what I've done. So we have created this disk.check. That's the name of the script. But remember, I'm just a regular user, and I need to run the script as a super user. Of course, I add sudo change mode. We talked about it in the permissions, in file permissions and processes. And I also add plus X. What does plus X means? We talked about RWX. X means execute. So when you say plus X, it means execute this specific script for me. Enter. Let me put my password. Of course, because you see, if you're not given permission to do this, you cannot even do it. But now I've done it. You see, I've not seen anything, and you're wondering what is this now. But remember, this specific file that I wrote, or rather, this specific file that we are working with here, is not printing on. It's not printing, or the output is not printing, supposed to print on my CLI. We said it's in the command, in the specific, sorry, let me just extend this so that I can show you. In the script that I wrote, I said that I want the logs to be stored in the Sakara disk_usage log, and I'm going to show you shortly. Let me run this, but I can show you what I mean. Amazing. So what does this mean? I want to see, let's go to the GUI to do what I'm talking about. So okay, so it's disk usage. It's here. Where is this kanini? This one here. This one here. You see? But you can, of course, you can't see it. But what I've said in this script is, Nataka, when you check the disk usage, please show it in this disk_usage.log. That's where we are going to be able to get this output. Because when you come here, when you read this command, it says echo message, disk usage alert. All this script that I've written here, I want it to be printed inside that log. So when I come and concat, I could do a cat stroke home stroke this command, I'm able to see that on Friday at 12, on Friday 22nd at 5, disk usage was at 10%. So in case between 7 and 8, I ran a very, very heavy, I was running a very heavy, say I was doing a deployment which was very heavy, and it took up so much of my disk space. By the time I get into 10, it will have told me that it's going to echo and tell me that there's a disk usage alert on. Now we are at 80%. Disk usage is not normal. Okay, so with that, I'm going to be able to work on that. You see, that's the beauty of scripts, because it's going to help me monitor root file system usage. It's going to log out in case anything happens. And you see, with the timestamps, you're going to be able to know by 9 at 10. So every time that I check using this cat, or rather be able to see inside this file, we're able to know that our disk is still normal and we can continue running resources or running deployments. Let me go to the next part. Now, this part is actually the most amazing thing about this, the beauty of running deployments, or rather being a DevOps engineer, because you can automate everything. Okay, what is a cron? Maybe some of you have heard about cron, but today I'm going to explain to you what is a cron. A cron is a background service that runs scheduled tasks automatically. It's like having a personal assistant that never sleeps. So you see, instead of me coming to run all this, I come, I do this, I escape, I do all these, okay? And I come and I change the mode, okay? Then I come and I do this all the time. Instead of me doing this, I can just do a cron job. And what do I mean by a cron job? Setting up a cron job. So of course, if you don't have this, you're going to have to install it. But because I already have it, let me show you. Amazing. So what do I mean by this? A cron job is, it's a background service. So this helps you automate. So instead of me having to check the disk usage all the time and be checking almost every time I'm worried, the cron job will be automatically running the script for me. So it doesn't pop up on your screen and say, I'm running this. No, it does it from the background. So it runs it and also saves the logs on that disk usage.log. So you see here, I came and I added this script here. All these are comments, leave them. It's 0 -- home disk _check.sh. So this is the script that I want to be run by this cron job. I told this cron job, please, every day of the week, okay? This is the command, this -- that is what it means. Every day of the week, every month, from month 1 to month 12. Imagine, from month 1 to month 12, every day of the month, from day 1 to day, every hour and every minute, be running this command for me, okay? So me, my work is just sitting down and just saying, oh, I have someone who is working in the background for me, okay? So let me escape. Amazing. So when I come here, and you find that this cron job is doing all this job for me, let me come to the next part here. Sorry. So of course you see this cron job is doing all this job for me. So when I run a command like this command that I need to be running, let me run this command. Nikirun tu hivi cat stroke home stroke sakara stroke disk.ev. When I just run that, I'm going to be able to know that. See, every time you see me at 8 and at 9, I didn't run this command. I didn't do it, but cron job was of course updating all the time. So ikifika at 11, cron job is going to run that script. Ikifika 12 is going to run that script. Ikifika, it's going to be running that, and it's going to be make sure that my system it's up and active, instead of like having to worry that, oh, I have to go and write all these scripts and do all this work. I write a script and I just write a cron job, and I say the time that I want to run, and the cron job will be doing the work for me comfortably, and I'll have automated all these tasks that are repetitive. Okay. So how cron job works in practice? So you set schedule set. So cron reads your schedule from cron tab. You see here on this cron tab, this cron, let me show you guys. It reads here the schedule time. Then it's a continuous, it works day and night continuously, and it auto executes. So it runs your script at the schedule time. So you're the one who specifies the time that you want. So say you guys, you update your systems at every 7th of the month. You're going to specify here that you want every 7th of the month this cron job to be running, so that it can be knowing that the update has been done, and it logs out your results. Okay. So you see with this cron job, you're able to automate instead of having to do repetitive work, because you have the script and the cron job, they work perfectly. So the DevOps benefits are, let me extend this. No human intervention needed, because cron job is doing it for you. There's consistency. Same process is run every time. Then it catches issues before they escalate. Okay. All right. So when I do, let me run this command. I'll explain it shortly. See, I'm almost done. So, okay. What does this command done? Tail in Linux means the last ones. So it show me the last commands that have been run, or rather show me the last output, or rather show me the last updates that have been done by cron tab or cron jobs. What are the last things that it has done? You can see that it has been from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even when at 11, when I log it, I'm going to see that at 11 it ran it. So you see, I don't even have to go and run that script. Me, I'll just be chilling here, and I run tail-f stroke home evo. When I just run that, and I'm able to know if my cron job is working or not. Okay. So these are the entries that you're able to get from. So it works. It goes with the specific script you have written. So the script is for deployment. It goes, if the script is for disk usage, you just do a cron job. Okay, that's all in with cron job and the scripts. Okay, so if I had created this script mapema or kitambo, and of course the logs are many, I can just run the last 50. You see, in mine I just created today at 5, so it won't show me, but we can just run it and see. Of course, it's going to show me the last, because this is the last one, because I created it at 5, so it's showing me all the last ones that have been run. So you can see the last, you can use tail or you can use head. It's either, like, this is a good thing about these Linux commands. And with that, you can look at the key takeaways for DevOps engineers. For Linux mastery, you understand the file system structure, the one we talked about, the bin, the sbin, ISO. Master essential commands like cp, move, touch, navigate efficiently in CLI, so you're able to move from this user to this user. Security, of course, with proper user group management, you know that DevOps, I'm giving them the permission to read and write, but I'm not giving them permission to execute. Okay. File permission practices. With this, you're able to know that this file, I want specific people to have this permission to do it. Okay. So, because you see, there are of course commands you run as the admin or as the head of the head DevOps engineer to be able to give specific users specific tasks. by ensuring that the permission is done. It's like in AWS IAM. What do you do in AWS IAM? You give specific people specific uh, permissions because you don't want everyone doing anything because they might crumble your system. Monitoring, we looked at bot trace route, ping. We saw what they are doing. We are being able to know that this hop happened here, or we passed at this route and things failed. We're able to troubleshoot that. We're able to look at log analysis. We're able to we used grep, we used find and locate to be able to know these logs, they are in which specific folder, because I don't even know which folder they are in. Okay. For automation, you have just seen how we've been able to use a script to automate disk usage information, and you're able to know that if our disk, we are running a resource as DevOps engineers, we are running a YAML file, and we need to know that our disk is full, we need to be able to free up some resources or figure out a way to handle that. Okay. And those are the few things that we were to talk about today on this learning period. And I'm sorry I've taken so much time, but I'm done. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you use Linux fundamentals in real scenarios, the more confident you'll become as a DevOps engineer. Again, you see, this we've just talked about basic use cases, but you see, the more we are going to be learning about this DevOps, we are going to be using practice. We are going to be seeing how we can run a whole deployment pipeline. We can run a whole pipeline and see how these automation actually, these scripts are working. You see, I've just done a simple one, but the more we proceed, the more you're going to be seeing how these things work in real life scenarios. Okay, and with that, I'm done with the presentation. Thanks for attending. And in case you have anything, please, you have any question, please ask, or you can give me your feedback. But with that, you can always remember to practice all these commands that you have learned so that you can be able to master you can be able to master JavaScript. Lord. You can be able to master Linux because it's quite essential for you as a DevOps engineer. And again, if for instance, me, I remember when I was starting, I was dual booting, but when you just go the Linux, so you won't stop. It's quite interesting because of how automation becomes easy. And we are done.